Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reality Recap. I'm your host, Queen E, and we are still talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Boy, did it get hectic this week, and it's about to get even more hectic. Apparently, this is the whole reason why Kenya is no longer on the show anymore, so we're finally getting into that tea. Speaking of tea, Temptation Island did not give us a reunion, but baby, the tea has been spilling. Now, I didn't collect all the tea, but I'm sure you guys know even more than I do. So definitely make sure to comment down below. While you're at it, please make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast. Make sure to listen to us on all streaming platforms. Wherever you listen to your podcast already, just add me to the list. If you want an ad-free version, there is that availability through Apple Podcast subscriptions. And if you happen to be listening to me, there is the visual version on YouTube. It doesn't hurt to hear me twice. I'm just saying. I love talking to y'all. I hope that you guys talk back to me because we got a lot to go through. So let's start with Real Housewives of Atlanta. We start with Angela and Britt. They meet up because they want to get to know each other a little bit better. Now, Britt, they confuse me. They kind of resemble each other. It's a little bit trippy for me, but I'm getting to know the differences. Britt says she tends to struggle to make friends with females because typically they think that she's a mean girl. Apparently people have wanted to jump her in the past. By the end of this episode, we figure out why. She doesn't seem to have the nicest spirit. I think we can be honest about that. So it doesn't surprise me that she tends to struggle to connect with girls. Sometimes too, when somebody says, oh yeah, I connect with guys more, or girls typically don't like me, I'm saying every girl. I'm thinking to myself, every girl doesn't like you? I don't know. It feels like you're the common denominator. But they talk about their different family dynamics. Angela has been having a tough time with her sister, and the mom has now gotten involved because of some kind of drama that happened with the sister. We're not quite sure. But regarding her mom, she made the mistake of involving her mom into her marital issues. And so the mom got really comfortable. She airs out her grievances not only to her, but also to Charles. And so Charles and Angela's mom got into some back and forth, and now they have an estranged relationship. So I did see online an old clip from the Wendy Williams show. Wendy, I miss you so much, girl. Wendy, we need you in these 2025 streets, honey. We need somebody like Wendy. But anyways, this old clip of Wendy is going around and she's talking about Charles. She's not mentioning Angela because she didn't know who Angela was. But she's like, yeah, I met up with Charles Oakley, and then his wife came to me and she was like, you know what, girl, it's just a baby. Because we all know Wendy Williams, her husband, ex-husband, Kevin. I always mix up the names. Had a baby on her in their marriage. And Wendy responds to Angela like, oh, is this something that you've gone through? And she's like, yeah. So it sounds like Angela's mama has a lot of reasons to not be a big fan of Charles. That could be one of them. But definitely inserting yourself into somebody's marriage is always going to be messy. Britt talks about the estranged relationship she has with her sisters. The big relationship that she wants to mend right now is her sister Cher. Cher took the passing of their father very hard. And so she tries to show up for Cher, but Cher feels like Britt picks her husband over her. And we're going to see Cher talk about that a little bit more in the episode. But yeah, there seems to be a problem with the sisters going on in this group of ladies. Now, somebody who's not at odds with her sister is Shamia. Shamia's sister shows up at her house and Shamia's excited to share this new song that she has. Now, I have to be honest. The ladies are older and it is reflected in their music. I think the lyrics are fine, but the way that the song is, it's kind of outdated. It is. I feel like we got to get somebody like Money Long or Victoria Monet, Leon Thomas. Get some of those people to come in and help zhuzh up your music career because, baby, I really think things could pop up. She has a beautiful voice. She has a beautiful aesthetic. She seems to really have that drive to want to push her music career. She might just need a different team. The music isn't hitting the way that it's supposed to. But anyway, she's excited because she wants to share this song with all the other ladies at Angela's party. She's surprised that she was even invited, but she plans to come in peace, especially because she's trying to get in their good books because she has something to promote right now. So As that's going on, we are seeing Ralph and Drew have a conversation. Ralph has finally escaped the basement. And, they're talking about their co-parenting. And Drew says that co-parenting has actually been better now that they're separated. But I'm struggling to believe that they are as separated as they say that they are. They're just very chummy. And I guess that's good. But it was borderline flirty, unless I'm just bad at reading flirting. And if you know me, that is true. But I'm just like, I sense that there's a vibe here. So it kind of makes sense that the divorce has been dragging for so long, that they still live in the same house, that they actually get along better now that they've had a little bit of space. I don't know. Is it a storyline? You guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. Is this a storyline? Are they just really good friends now that they are no longer in a marriage? Like, what is the tea with these two? But anyways, Ralph is concerned because their kids are starting to pick up on the fact that the dynamic has changed in the relationship. So their oldest son came to him with an article that said, hey, parents are divorcing. What is this about? This was what Drew was worried about. She didn't want her kids to find out about the messy details of their divorce, but the kids are kind of grown. Even if they didn't read articles, you can see that, they don't sleep in the same room anymore. The man is in the basement, for crying out loud. We split time between mom and dad. Like, at some point, the kids were going to pick up that something isn't right here anymore. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Divorce is not easy at any age. I've seen this lady talk about being in her 30s and still taking it hard that her parents are divorced. So it's not to say that because they're older, it'll be easier to digest. But I think that they can have that conversation with their kids at this point. I think they're picking up on the signs. Kelly and Kenya meet up for, I think it was lunch or something, and they're opening up about their past marriages. As we know, Kenya is divorced. Kelly is going through a divorce, and she is so estranged with her husband to the point that she has to walk around with a bodyguard. And Kenya was like, what's the deal with the bodyguard? And she's like, oh, my ex-husband threatened my life in court. He was in contempt of court. Like, he threatened my life in front of a judge. And so the judge then granted her a restraining order. Like, this man seems to be very vindictive, very just, I don't know, somebody who you don't want to associate yourself with. He's also the person who's been making business for her very hard. And she does open up about opening the business while being in a marriage with him. So I can assume when you're still in love with somebody, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a partnership. And so he does have more say than she would want him to have. This isn't something that she came into the marriage already having established, right? So she can't keep it away from him fully. And he's deciding to be very vindictive, very manipulative, and it's making Kelly's life really hard. And like I was saying in a previous episode, I don't understand why people decide to be so callous to their partner to the point where it affects their money, especially when kids are involved. Like, I'm now the primary caretaker of your children. Why are you then going to put your children in jeopardy because you're trying to be petty with me? That's my opinion. I don't know. Maybe these guys think differently. Maybe I'll think differently if ever, God forbid, I have to go through a divorce. So Kenya is opening up about her situation. She just opened up her salon, which is beautiful. However, she had to sacrifice her daughter's college fund to open it up. Now, mind you, I was thinking, okay, maybe like partial fun, your kid is young. It's going to take time until she goes to college. No, the whole college fund, every single dollar. And so Kenya is now starting to cry. I'm like, well, girl, don't cry now. Where were the tears before you made the transaction? I'm sorry. $400K is a big college fund to begin with, but you couldn't save even like 20, 100 for your daughter on the side. So she's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to get people in the door. I did see on social media, not by Kenya, but through this YouTuber that I follow. Her name is Tierra Monet. She is one of like the brand ambassadors that's going to be the face of the salon that Kenya has. I don't remember the name of the salon, but I was like, oh, that's really dope. Like, I know Tierra Monet from when she was on YouTube. She was doing makeup videos and all that kind of stuff. She's kind of died down, but she's still quite influential, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I think that was a great choice. But Kenya's getting emotional because she's like, I need people to come into the salon. I've already invested so much, and potentially I might not be able to recoup this money, which is going to put my daughter at a deficit when it's time for her to go to college. Yeah, I think maybe next time let's let's think about that decision before we invest the entire college fund. Does she have a trust? Does she have something else? Like, please make sure there's some kind of safety blanket and that she didn't blow the entire fund on this salon. Even after Portia's threats, Drew and Dennis decide to meet up on camera. Now that's the big thing. I think at this point, Portia's aware you gonna be with my baby daddy. It is what it is. But the problem that Portia had was them doing things on camera. And so Drew and Dennis are seen at a music studio because Drew is trying to refine the song that she's been working on with Dennis, right? And so she's like, hey, I'm not trying to get into trouble, you know? And Dennis is like, what trouble? What are you even talking about? Sir, were you not the one who was pulled aside by Portia in the car? And she said, don't you dare show up on camera with old girl. You know exactly what Drew was talking about. Please, these two are both little pathological liars, okay? So Drew is like, listen, I've done what I can. If she wants to talk, cool. If she doesn't want to talk, whatever. At this point, I've done all that I can. Dennis is like, yeah, it's kind of weird that she's moving this way because she knew that we were working together. But at the time that she found out, she was, you know, eating fufu with her husband out in Nigeria. And I said, oh, well, I think he kind of clocked her. When you were with your man, when you were in a happy relationship, you didn't care what Dennis was up to. Now that you're on your ones, you want to see what Dennis is up to, especially if it's with Drew. So I don't know. Portia, what's the deal? Do y'all think Portia is making a stink now because she is single? Or was she always going to have a problem because it's her baby daddy? Y'all let me know in the comments down below, especially if you got a baby daddy. Would y'all have a problem with your baby daddy working with somebody and them not clearing it with you first? Because that's the big thing. So, of course, Drew is going into the studio. She's doing the song. And again, it's giving outdated. But this time it was more so the lyrics. I can't remember the lyrics off the top of my head, but I was thinking this is corny. You remember back in the day when rap was like, I go to the store and at the store, I eat the food and I get going. Like so boring, so like kids boppy. It was giving that. I'm sorry. It was giving that. We need to zhuzh up our music taste, Drew, and maybe your career could really pick. Oh, that sounds so shady. We're watching Real Housewives. It's okay. We could be shady. Moving on. So Angela decides to host this party. I forget what the party is called, but apparently it was in the ghetto. According to the other ladies, I've only been to Atlanta once. Maybe I need to go back because I feel like where they were at was where I was at. And to me, it didn't seem like the ghetto. So I was like, damn, was I in the ghetto? Crazy. So they're in Bankhead or Buckhead. One of the two. I feel like it's Buckhead. And the girls pull up. The theme is like black chic. And so one by one, they're wearing their black. They're wearing, you know, they look good. The ladies look good. Why does Kenya show up wearing green, blue? I couldn't tell what color it was. Let's say turquoise. Why is she pulling up with this bright turquoise dress? I'm like, girl, you are trying to make yourself a spectacle. You know damn well you were supposed to wear black. It's in the name, black excellence. Like, girl. So she's like, I didn't know. She goes over, she does her greetings or whatever. She hugs Britt in like a soft little pat way. And Britt is so offended. Now, it's to be noted that this is the second time that Britt has been hugged by Kenya and she has not appreciated how the hug was executed. She basically is like, don't pat me, like hug me properly. And Kenya's like, oh, girl, we're both wearing makeup. I don't want to get makeup on you. I don't want you to get makeup on me. I thought that was a valid explanation, but even if it wasn't, I don't have to hug. I don't even have to hug you at all. You look at I even gave you a hug. Let's start there. Anyways, Shamia said that she was going to come in peace, and sure enough, she did. She extends a literal olive branch. She brings a bottle of olive oil that has a branch coming out of it. And apparently this is something that her husband is very fond of. Like, this is some quality olive oil, whatever, girl. To me, it sounded like a joke, especially because she's still joking about Angela's nose in the confessionals. She's like, your nose is mine. I said, nah, Shamia, come on. Shamia. That's enough now. But yeah, she extends the olive branch. Angela accepts and they let bygones be bygones, right? As the night is going on, they are playing this game where they wrote anonymous questions. And so one of them was like, oh, Shamia, how did you thank your man for the Rolls Royce? Kenya, what underwear are you wearing? Then the question comes up from Britt. At least, well, I think Britt wrote it. Britt is like, oh, this is anonymous. It wasn't even me. I didn't even write that down. The question is, Kenya, are you able to speak to Britt with some respect or something along that lines, like without having an attitude? And Kenya's like, I could talk to anybody without an attitude. Like, I'm a very cordial person. It never has to be like that. And Britt's like, no, but I'm talking about me. Can you talk to me without an attitude? And so I was wondering, like, what is up with Britt? Like, she's really on one for no reason. And throughout the episode, I then had to recall that Britt was coming off like a fan. She was like, oh, I've seen the show before. I know how Kenya moves, whatever, right? And then even later on, she said something to the effect of like, you're used to this Hollywood life or whatever, and I'm not. Like, I don't like that. I don't move like that. I thought you would be like this. Kind of making it seem like she has built this image of Kenya in her mind, and she's dumbfounded at the fact that Kenya isn't following in line with that. But also, Kenya doesn't know you. Kenya is not your friend. So they start piping up. It gets a little bit heated. And so the girls are looking at Britt like, why is Britt making this a bigger situation than it is? Kenya decides, you know what, let me pack my things. And oh, no, I have to pause because we have to talk about Drew before I move on to the mess. So Kelly has a problem with, Drew. Kelly has a problem with Drew because Drew brought her makeup artist and the makeup artist did not buy a thing at the Balmain event. So she's like, well, I bought something. And Kelly's like, no, you did not. She's like, yeah, I did. Look. As she's showing her the phone, a text from Dennis comes in and she's like, don't even do that. That's a group chat. Okay. Don't make it seem like I'm trying to do something on the low. But anyways, then we see Kelly speak in her confessional and she says that it was a text conversation between the sales rep and Drew. It wasn't even a transaction. So Drew, you didn't buy anything. And apparently because it is a fundraiser, it is just an unspoken rule that you have to buy something. I didn't know this, but that does make sense. If you roam around these circles, I'm sure you do become aware of that kind of culture. So the fact that Drew pulled up and she didn't even buy anything, and now she's making it seem like she bought something that she didn't really buy. Drew, it's giving pathological liar. Like, what's the deal, sis? Is there a reason for this? Please, y'all let me know. Why does Drew lie so much? Goodness sakes, her character on the game basically wasn't a character at this point. So back to Kenya and Britt. Britt is piping up. Kenya decides, I'm just going to pack my things and go because this is dumb. I'm not going to argue with peasants. She literally said peasants. And Britt just goes, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why are you calling me a peasant? You bitch. Why would you? Popping off at the mouth. Kenya has left the premises at this point, and Britt is still going on. Where's my husband? Give me my husband. Why would she even say? I still got my pistol. I said pistol. One thing it never was that serious. One thing it never was that serious. We're threatening guns now. We're threatening weapons now. Girl, be so for real. So the streets are saying Kenya did whatever she did in retaliation. This is going to be exposed on the next episode. Kenya did whatever she did in retaliation because she was threatened. And at the time, the people were saying, no, Kenya wasn't threatened. I feel like this exonerates her. She's definitely threatened. Britt brought up a gun not once, but twice. And then she's like, where's my husband? Bring me my husband. Where's my husband? Where's my husband? As if her husband was going to get up and do something. Not only are you bucking at a woman who's not even bucking at you, now you want to bring your husband into the mix for what? For what? That was absolutely a threat. Now, is that to say that Kenya should have retaliated? Probably not. But you can understand why she felt the need to. Yeah, definitely. So even when they're leaving the building, Britt is still popping off of the mouth. She's like, oh, Kenya's the type of person who just pokes and pokes and pokes and she doesn't know how to stop. Sorry? The lady is not even in your radius right now. You're talking about she's provoking you. How is she provoking you? You have created this beef in your mind. This is a one-sided beef. But apparently you're being provoked by Kenya. Kenya's driving off into the night with Portia in her car, and you're still like wilding about what? Girl, anyways, we're going to see what Kenya does in the next episode. And this is what got her off the show. Unfortunately, I feel like if anybody should have been kicked off the show, actually, no. If you're going to kick off one person from the show, kick off the other person too. Because you're threatening somebody's life. Sorry, that should be unacceptable. That is inexcusable. Why is she still here? Especially because I'm still trying to figure out what her relevance on the show is. Her storyline is this baby that her husband is only part-time excited about. She's always trying to prove that her marriage is legitimate, if you ask me. And I'm just like, girl, who you trying to prove it to? Like, we good? It's fine. Oh, did I even speak about the conversation she had with her sister? I didn't. Let me talk about that since we're talking about her husband. She met up with Cher. And Cher was like, I feel like I can't really connect with you the way that we used to, because every time I want to open up, your husband is right beside you. And obviously I can't have that transparent sister conversation because your man is in the room. And she's like, oh, my sister is just bitter because relationships haven't worked out for her. And that's insane to say. That is so insane to say. You don't think somebody is able to see the beauty in your relationship, even if they're not having a great time in their own relationships? And on top of that too, like, it really hurt me because I've been in a similar situation where I was single at the time, and a friend of mine who is married with kids was like, well, I'm in my selfish era. She literally said this. I'm in my selfish era, and you're just going to have to get along with it until my kids are grown. If you need me for an emergency, I'll be there. But other than that, like, I'm going to have to do me. I kind of respect the fact that she was just standing 10 toes down in it, but also that is so mean to say. Like, you are my best friend. You're like a sister to me. And I'm looking to you like, hey girl, what happened with us? Oh, well, you single, you just don't get it. You haven't been successful in relationships. You don't understand. And to say that to your blood sister, Britt, I'm not surprised that she doesn't get along with women. She barely gets along with the women she's blood related to. Like, it makes complete sense. So I'm sorry. If you're going to kick Kenya off the show, get Britt off the show too, as far as I'm concerned. Y'all let me know if you think that Britt should have been kicked off the show, or if you are okay with the fact that she stayed because you think that her threat pales in comparison to what Kenya's retaliation was. Sound off in the comments. Let's move on to Temptation Island. Baby. Oh, I am so mad at the fact that Netflix didn't host a reunion for Temptation Island, because the other Temptation Islands had reunions. All of a sudden, now that it's on Netflix, we're not getting reunions. Why? That's where the real tea is. But I will say, I did see a few interviews. I saw some of the girls go on Jessie Woo's channel. I saw Shanté go on Mark's channel. So I will talk about those few things. That whole other reunion that was done, I didn't watch it. So y'all got to let me know what was said in that one. But let's get into the actual episodes. This is episodes 8 to 10, and then a little bit of the tea on the outside. So the episode starts with Amaya having a conversation with Brion. And she's like, I just want you to know that what you've been doing is cheating. And he's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And she's like, yes, it is. You claim that you are still with this woman. You claim that you are in a relationship. Therefore, when you sleep with other women, that is cheating. And he's just so fixated on the fact that because they are on a TV show, whatever he does is excusable. Like I have so many things to say about Brion. I think I'm just going to jump around, guys. I wanted to go in order, but I think I'm just going to jump around. Brion is later seen at a bonfire talking about his trauma. And he says that he was raised in the foster care system. He had experienced a lot of abuse. His biological parents were abusing drugs. And so he was taken away from that home at 2 years old. Then he was raised by a white family. And so that gave him a complex and stuff. And although I empathize with his story, it doesn't absolve him of his behavior. It doesn't at all. Because if that was the case, anybody who's experienced trauma is justified when they then inflict trauma onto somebody else. Like, that's basically what he's saying. I have had traumatic situations. I don't then do bad to other people and then say, oh, but guys, it's because I have gone through trauma. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And the thing that really pisses me off about Brion is he makes it seem like what he's doing is because he doesn't know any better. But if that was the case, why would you say, oh, I need to get this out of my system? You know that it's not a good thing. Why would you say, this is something that I can do in here, but I can't do back at home? You know that it's wrong. So don't give me that BS talking about, oh, it's because of what I've been through. It sucks that you went through what you went through. I hope that he seeks therapy. I know that he's in therapy. Thank God he went to therapy. But while I was watching, I was like, I hope you go to therapy. I hope that you get in touch with your pastor if he's still going to church. I hope that you have a support system now that can rally around you and really give you that nurturing that you feel like you've been missing throughout your life. But that is not an excuse to treat Shanté the way that you've been treating Shanté. Please don't want to hear that mess ever. Moving on. We actually got a lot to talk about in these episodes, man. We have Taylor, who says that Yemen was kind of catching her eye at the beginning, but Yemen was treating her kind of like a friend. And he's like, well, yeah, you weren't giving the energy that you wanted to explore anything. And that's the problem that I tend to have with the girls. Like, the guys in their villa are doing whatever they want to do. The girls are always so timid, and I don't blame them. You're coming in having hope that you're able to mend your relationship. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Y'all already know if it was me, I'm doing my worst. Because obviously you're bringing me on here because we're done. So basically he's like, I mean, yeah, if you gave me the green light earlier, I would have shown up for you earlier. And so I also wish she got to explore that earlier. Who's to say where they would have ended up by the end of the season? They did seem to build a good bond. And I think that what was holding her back wasn't just Tyler, but she had made other connections that were like, oh, this could be something. Whereas with Yemen, he was giving her more of like an assurance, more of the type of person who she was looking for. She just had other people in line before him. So yeah, I do wish that they got to explore that connection earlier, but they've done it now, which is good. She was the last one to kind of break that physical barrier out of the people who have broken a physical barrier. She's seen kissing him in the water. I said, oh, okay. She then kisses him casually when they're at the house during their final date. I said, okay, this is what I like to see. You better live it up on this island. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Actually, I guess it's not, because after watching the interview with Jessie Woo, a lot of the girls had been on other shows before. So I was like, oh, damn, I guess it's not a once in a lifetime opportunity, but still. Your man is doing a madness. I think you have the opportunity to do a madness too. During the girls' bonfire, Shanté sees the footage of Amaya basically saying, hey, I'm not going to go on this date with you because you don't have the principles of the man that I want to even associate myself with. Why does Shanté say good for her? Shanté commends Amaya for choosing herself instead of putting herself in an uncomfortable situation with somebody who wouldn't be serving her. Do you hear yourself? So Amaya on this interview ended up saying that Shanté reached out to her after the show, not to even talk about Brion, but to talk about her faith. And she feels like the way that she was portrayed on the show would make her look like she isn't as faithful of a Christian as she wants to be perceived. Babe, I mean, I do get that. Going on any show, they're probably not going to push that side of you. But the bigger issue is the fact, to me, is the fact that she has let her faith cloud her judgment when it comes to the type of person who she's supposed to be with. Because as Christian girls, let's be honest, a lot of us, if you were raised in the church, we're raised to be long-suffering women. We're raised to just accept, forgive. Let a man be a man. Like, no. I feel like that is not a healthy way to approach relationships at all. Should you forgive? Yeah, I think you should. I also think you should forgive in reason. And when somebody is doing things to deliberately demoralize you, doing things they know are wrong, knowing that you're going to forgive them, that's not a person who you need to forgive. So in that same interview, we find out that Brion was telling the people in the house that Shanté doesn't have a big support system back home. And that to me gives so much clarity as to why she might be holding on to Brion so tightly. She has nobody else. He really is her lifeline. And when you feel like you have everything to lose by not being with that person, you're going to do whatever it takes to stay with that person. Sad reality, but it is what it is. Ashley watches footage of Grant saying that Courtney has taught him what true love looks like. And you could see she's disturbed by that statement. And so Mark asks her, okay, well, what does true love look like for you? And she immediately gets emotional. I think this is the moment where she really started to digest the fact that she had been settling for less. We know from the time that she came onto the show, she was questioning why she had stayed in the relationship with Grant for so long. As the show was going along, she was having revelations that he's always been this subpar type of partner for her, and she stayed for whatever reason. And so now Mark is asking her, so what does love actually look like? And the girl broke down. She knows in her heart of hearts, this man has not been good to her. And maybe she's also having an introspective moment and realizing she hasn't been showing up the best in that relationship. Granted, who would want to with a man like Grant? But still, you can have that realization like, wow, I'm trying to fight for something that is clearly detrimental on both ends. I haven't been my best self. He hasn't been his best self. He hasn't been good to me. I haven't been good to him. I can definitely see why she got emotional in that moment. I did feel for her. And then my feelings kind of changed, but we'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, I did feel for her in this moment because realizing that you're fighting for something that isn't even the best thing for you has to be heartbreaking. And then when you realize that you knew it all along, you just think like, man, I wasted all my time. I wasted, emotions. I wasted money. I wasted opportunities, you know what I'm saying, for something that was inevitably going to end or was going to hurt me in the long run, even if it wasn't going to end. Like she knows she's becoming like less than being stuck in this relationship. The two girls who I really do feel for are Ashley and Shanté. Now, Alexa and Lino at this point is kind of like, whatever. They're just like side characters. Taylor, I can't say that I feel for Taylor the way that I wanted to. Because Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, says that she's learned more about herself in this process and that she deserves better. I think there's more to learn. Because if you recall, Taylor's the same one who said her man had bitch tendencies. Taylor's the same one who admitted that she became controlling in her relationship. She threw in his face the fact that she pays for the bills. Her name is on the deed. She cleans up after him. Like she, let's be honest, hasn't been the nicest. I do think there's a reason why she hasn't been the nicest to him. But that introspection of like, oh, I haven't been a good partner to my partner, I don't think that has yet happened for her. Maybe it happened post the show. I didn't see anything about Taylor, but I was like, yeah, I wish Taylor had more of a journey seeing how she could have been a better partner, seeing how her actions affected Tyler, seeing how the way that they even got together wasn't good because he was still legally married, and how that eventually made things sour because they didn't start with a good foundation. You know what I'm saying? At the final bonfire, they do kind of talk about that, and he does let her know, you have hurt me too. It's not just me. Like, you have hurt me. I wish that there was more of that kind of conversation going on, but hey, she says she's learned about herself. She says that she deserves better. And at the end of the day, that's a good conclusion to come to. At the guys' bonfire, we see Grant watching footage of Ashley kissing Danny. The man was like, shut it down. I've seen enough. I said, oh, not you saying when the clip should be over. No, weren't you out here having full-blown sex with somebody in a shower? You don't get to say when this clip gets cut off, especially because she's just kissing the man. Be so for real. So then Mark is trying to probe, asking what's going on with Grant in this moment. And he's like, I feel like I've let this relationship drag. I've been forcing it because in my family, like, divorce isn't a thing. People stay in relationships for long. And I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to appease my family. I wanted to follow the tradition or whatever. What? It's giving Brion. I'm forcing things because of my past. Because, guys, your past, as valid as it may be, it does not absolve you of bad behavior. It doesn't. It just doesn't. So because you've seen long-suffering women, you want to then be in a relationship and make this woman a long-suffering woman again? Longevity isn't a deciding factor on whether or not a relationship is healthy or not. That's not a good barometer, guys. You should actually look at the quality of your relationship, not how long you've been together. Because what does that mean? Oftentimes I hear people say like, oh, marriage is not like it used to be. You know, women don't want to submit the way that they used to in the past. Women don't stay in relationships as long as they used to in the past. Yeah, a lot of those women were getting hands put on. A lot of those women were in a financially insecure situation. A lot of those women had nothing else going for themselves. So they had to tie themselves to a man who was subpar. So yeah, people are going to now speak up and say, you know what, this is not serving me. I don't want to stay here. And so he has made it seem like Ashley's the problem. Ashley's the problem. Ashley's the problem. He has been a problem in this relationship. And he's now like, yeah, I knew I was forcing it all this time. Are you for real? Are you serious? And you see why, didn't I say in the last episode, this is why you shouldn't stay in a relationship longer than you know that you're supposed to, because it starts to get really toxic. You start to do yourself a disservice because he's decided he has to stay in this relationship because that's just what people do. He became toxic. He cheated. He then is cheating again on the show. He has said horrible things about Ashley. She has said horrible things back. But it becomes nastier and nastier the longer you stay in a relationship that should have ended a long time ago. Tyler has a revelation that he did not heal from his previous marriage. I mean, yeah, you were pursuing the girl while still being married. So yeah, apparently the theme with Tyler is that he just hops from girl to girl to girl. If I'm to fast forward a little bit, he's currently dating a girl who wasn't on the show at all, not as a single or as his partner. Crazy. So this seems to be his thing. I don't know if he's just a hopeless romantic who just needs love. Like he just really, really needs it. I don't know. But he needs to work on that. He needs some time to himself. And it is confronting to spend time on your own. You have these revelations that are hard. You realize that maybe you aren't as good of a person as you thought you were, or maybe you let people treat you in a way that you never would have let them treat you prior to, or something, you know. Spending time by yourself, having that introspection can really be confronting is what I'm trying to say. And so maybe that's why he doesn't want to take that time to just sit and heal. He'd rather just jump from relationship to relationship. Somebody else who's the same is Brion. Brion says that he's realizing that he doesn't like to be alone. He likes having Shanté in his life because if she's not in his life, he really has nobody. And he does not like that feeling. He likes to have that safety blanket, that security, having that person who's unconditionally loving them. And we know Shanté loves him without conditions, child. So yeah, speaking of loving without conditions, Lino decides that he's no longer going to be resentful. He decides that Alexa is the woman he wants to spend his life with. So in preparation for the final dates, he calls Alexa's dad, whose name is Al, I think. I'm just putting that together. Al, Alexa. So anyways, calls the dad, gets the blessing. He looks for a ring. Let's just fast forward to the final bonfire. He proposes. She says yes. It was cute. I'll give you that. At first, they were doing the regular bonfire thing. And then as they were walking away, he walked her towards this like flower trail. And then he proposed. It was cute. It was beautiful. But with them, I mean, it's good that we have a wholesome couple on the show, but I think they could have just gone to therapy. They could have just gone to couples therapy. They did not have to come here at all. They really didn't. And can I be honest? I think that if Lino was in the villa with girls who were really gung-ho for him, it might have been a different story. I feel, I wasn't there, I don't know. I feel like most of the girls weren't really checking for him. The other guys got more attention. And he was more of the, you know what, I'm just here to work on my relationship. So maybe they were put off by that. And maybe they didn't want to infiltrate that situation. But I think if somebody like Alex gave him the attention that he was looking for, it would have been a different outcome for him and Alexa. But either way, they're together. Next, we're going to talk about Taylor and Tyler. Let's talk about them. So Tyler is basically saying, you hurt me, you belittle me, you do all these things. She says, well, you're a flight risk. essentially. And Mark is like, okay, let's talk about how you make each other feel rather than this is what you do. And so Taylor says, I'm used to being abandoned, essentially. And the fact that you won't put us in a position where there's security is scary for me. I don't want to have to mother somebody. I don't want to have to be looking over my shoulder wondering like, are we going to be able to pay the bills? Or is this man going to be responsible? Like, I don't want to have to do that, which is valid. But I think that you were aware from the beginning that this man, he's flighty. He's flighty. And so at that point, it's up to you to decide, am I going to be able to tolerate this? Or should I just leave that situation and find somebody who's going to better serve me? Because for me, I have an issue with people who get with somebody who has been consistent from the beginning, and then they have a problem with that person doing the things that they've been doing all the while. She found him when he was having job insecurity. She found him when he was still married to somebody else. She found, like, you know what I'm saying? He proved himself to be somebody who you can't really place your bets on. And so now you're upset at him for those same things. That's kind of weird to me. And so he opens up saying, I feel like less of a man because of the things that you say about me. Like, I do dream and I do want to explore these things. And yeah, maybe I've been out of work for a year, which is wild. Sir, pick up a 9-to-5. Pick up contract work. Do something to show that you're at least contributing. To be fully dependent on Taylor, I don't even know if I'd be able to do that as a woman. I'm fully dependent on this man. Not a single thing is going for me. I don't know. I gotta have something. Even if he insists on being the primary breadwinner in the house, please do. But I still gotta have something going for myself. And for a year, he's been solely depending on this girl. So he's like, yeah, I mean, I want to be a model and I want to do these things and live the high life. Tyler, it's time to grow up. It is time to grow up. So she decides she's going to leave by herself. He decides he's going to leave with Kay. So I did see a snippet of Kay's YouTube video. I didn't know she was a YouTuber, but she is. And she says, basically, it looks like I'm a lot more enamored with this man than I actually was in reality. She's a big fan of the show. Same. And she says that when it was on the USA Network, she would even pay to watch it. That's how much she was obsessed with Temptation Island. So when she saw the opportunity, she literally hit up a producer and was like, please put me on the show. They put her on the show. And this was like a side quest for her. So she wasn't really like head over heels in love with Tyler. It was just a thing to do. So now in present day, Tyler is with somebody completely new. And I'm thinking, yeah, this man does not take a break. You need to take a break. Just pause. Just heal. I don't know what it is with him that makes him feel like he needs to be attached to somebody at all times. But yeah, that's concerning. But moving on. Ashley and Grant, in their conversations, he was getting emotional. And I'm sorry. I was like, why are you crying? Why are you crying? He is like, you know, there's things that you've done in our relationship and they weren't the best, but because of the growth journey that I've been on, I forgive you. She's there like, what do you forgive me for? And I was also asking, what are you forgiving her for? What has she done for real? I need him to give us receipts. The only thing that he said was during the show, she said, why would the universe give me a piece of shit man? Okay, that's hurtful. Understood. What else? What else? Because from the time he came on the show, he was making it seem like she's the problem. What did she do? She doesn't nurture. She wouldn't be a good mother figure. Why would she want to be when you act the way that you act? Be so for real. So Ashley came in and she was like, honestly, I've seen all I needed to see. I've heard all I needed to hear. I don't care. It is what it is. He decides to leave alone. She decides to leave with Danny. Come to find out, she and Grant got back together after the show. Now, let's talk about this, right? Rarely, actually, can I even say rarely? I don't think I've ever seen anybody leave with someone from the show and have it be successful. Whether they leave with their partner, this is barring the people who get engaged. Everybody who's gotten engaged, I think that they followed through with that. If you just left with your partner, I feel like all those relationships dissolved. If you left with a single, I feel like those relationships dissolved as well. I'm thinking of that one couple. I think this was in the second season of the reboot when Temptation came back the first time. There was a couple that was together for 10 years. This girl was begging for marriage for 10 years. And he left with somebody else just for that relationship to also dissolve. Like, Temptation Island is signed, sealed, and delivered. Y'all are done. Y'all are done. So she left with Daniel. That obviously didn't work out because she went back with Grant. Apparently things were going well up until these most recent weeks. So they decided to break up again. He was showing himself to be who he was before they went on the show. Girl, I don't know why you thought he would change. He didn't learn anything on the show. He still was looking at her saying, if she works on these things, I can forgive her. If she works on herself, maybe I can see myself marrying her. As if he had nothing to do with the demise of their relationship. So I'm not shocked that they got together, number one. And I'm not shocked that things have since broken up again. Not surprising at all. Lastly, we have Brion and Shanté. Now, Brion and Shanté were actually the first couple to go to the bonfire, but I had to save them for last because I have a lot to say. And I think some of what I'm going to say might take people by surprise because my opinion has shifted a little bit. So Shanté goes into the bonfire basically saying, I haven't made a decision. Girl, yes, you have. Yes, you have. Even Hashim with his fine self was like, she knows what she's supposed to do, but is she going to do it? Probably not. So she walks in. She says that she's not sure. As soon as she sees Brion, they both melt into each other's arms. I said, oh my God. Oh my gosh. This girl was like silly putty in his hands. He immediately is like, I'm sorry. I apologize. So they're talking about what they did on the show. He reiterates his trauma again. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're weaponizing it. Sorry. I feel like he's weaponizing his trauma because we later find out in an interview that they did with Mark that she knew of his trauma. So why is he now making it seem like this is the new revelation that he's having? Like, oh, I've gone through these things and this is why I act the way that I act. She already knew that. Before coming in. So what benefit is it for him to now say, well, remember, my parents were addicts. Remember, I was in the foster system. Remember, I'm adopted. Remember. Okay. You're not the only one who's been through trauma. Like, why is he doing this? To me, it was so strategic the way that he was reiterating that to her and just saying, in the process, he has learned that he doesn't have to do the threesomes in order to have a fulfilling life. And in fact, those threesomes didn't fulfill him at all. And now it's completely out of his system. Whata. Shanté was basically like, it is so hard for me to make a decision right now because I know the person that you are and who you've been on the show is somebody who I don't know. And so she needed a second. She walked away. She spoke to a producer and the producer was like, honestly, just do the best for you. She comes back and she's like, I'm going to choose myself. I'm going to leave you alone. And at first I wanted to be happy for her, but I was like, I feel like whatever decision she makes, she's going to end up being with Brion. Some way, somehow they're going to end up going back together. He says something. Let me read my notes because I'm pretty sure I wrote it down. He said something that changed her mind. She says she knows that she deserves somebody who loves her. And he says, I do love you. And that is what changed her mind. That was it. I deserve somebody who loves me. I do love you. Okay, let's be together. Girl, that cannot be enough. Love is not enough. Where's the respect? Where's the honesty? Where's the transparency? Where's the intention to build a healthy relationship, a future together? Love is not enough. You can find love with so many other people. But that was enough for her to be like, you know what? Yeah, let's leave together. And this man was so happy. Of course he was. He only changed his ways because the women were no longer checking for him in the villa. If the women were still throwing themselves at him, they probably would have had another sexual encounter and he still would be very pompous, very arrogant, very egotistical. But anyways, the interview with Jessie Woo, some of the girls were Courtney, Amaya, Mia, and somebody else. I don't remember. Wait, was her name Courtney? Have I been mixing up the girls? Oh, in the past when I said Grant was with Courtney, I think her name is Natalie. My bad, y'all. But this is now Courtney. Courtney says that there was, in fact, a threesome, because apparently there were questions on whether or not that really did happen. She says, yeah, things really did go down in the bathroom. She also confirms that Brion was talking very explicitly about his sexual relationship with Shanté and how she doesn't satisfy him. Yeah, I'll leave it there. He was very distasteful in the way that he spoke about the lack of excitement he gets from the sexual relationship he has with Shanté. So in the interview that Shanté and Brion did with Mark, obviously if they're doing an interview together, you can assume that they are together. They also live together. He says that putting down his ego and opening up has actually helped them in the bedroom. Now that he's gotten the threesomes out of his system, now that he's no longer egotistical, now that he's no longer being selfish, they have improved sexually. That's interesting. She says, what does she say? They said a lot of things, guys. Mark commends Shanté, saying that she is strong as an ox and sharp as a whip. And I know that he meant well when he said that, but therein lies the problem that I have. Oftentimes, women, especially Black women, I have to listen. I can only speak for us because that's the demographic that I'm a part of. Black women are often looked at as, oh, well, she's strong. She could take it. Put her through the ringer. She's going to be faithful. We spoke about it with the whole AD situation. We're primed to want to protect, be strong, be resilient, to the point where there's this thing now in the Black community where telling a Black woman that she's strong is not a compliment. It's almost an insult at this point. And I get it, because it's almost like we are primed to want to deal with the bullshit. Oh, I'm not even saying BS anymore because I'm really feeling it in my soul. We are primed to deal with the bullshit because they know that we're going to stay. Like, it's almost like we're supposed to accept mediocrity because that's just how it goes. Oh, a man cheats. Guys, that's just what they do. Oh, he lied. I mean, whatever. Oh, he had a baby on you. I mean, it's par for the course. Be strong. Be resilient. Push through. No, absolutely not. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that. So she's saying that their relationship did not go back to normal. They spent 2 days talking intensively about their relationship before coming on the show and everything that transpired on the show. 2 days? That's not enough. We're going to be at odds for 2 months. If I'm really going to work through this with you, we're going to be at odds for 2 months. Apparently, they're both in therapy. I forget if it's couples therapy or individual therapy. I hope that it's both. And he says that Shanté has grown so much to the point where she no longer lets things slide the way that she used to. She wants to call things out immediately when things are getting on her nerves, or when she sees behavior in him that is unsatisfactory. To me, it kind of sounds like she's a babysitter, but whatever. He says that he now sees the value in Shanté, and he even worships the ground that she walks on. You better. What else was said in here? He asks people to shift the heat off of her and put it onto him. Apparently, Shanté has been getting cooked online. Now, I don't know what that looks like. If it's people saying, girl, you need to leave him, I don't think that's heat. If people are actually like coming at her, attacking her, that's unfortunate because she didn't do anything but stay. She didn't do anything but be loyal. The person who actually did things is Brion. Not to say that he should be attacked either. Guys, let's not get caught up in parasocial relationships. These are real people going through real things. If anybody is supposed to get the flack, it's him though. It's definitely him. I think with Shanté, the thing that hurts the most for a lot of people is the fact that they probably see themselves in her and they wished that she would have done the right thing. They wish that she would have left him. And so she's there like, you know what? I have seen so much of this man that you guys don't see. I knew of the trauma that he had gone through before he'd even talked about it on the show. And him talking about it on the show was just the surface. There's so much more to it. And so I'm deciding to stay. So the opinion of mine that has changed a little bit is knowing now that he basically feels like he has nobody in this life. You know, he made it seem like he's not connected to his adoptive family too much. And obviously he was taken away from his biological parents. And because Shanté, by way of the girls, they said this, I don't know how true this is, but the girls on their interview said that Shanté also doesn't have a support system. I can see why they both are clinging on to each other so tightly. And so I feel like at the end of the day, if that's what you need to do to survive, then fine, if that makes sense. I hope that they do right by each other. I hope that therapy is really, really helping them develop healthier ways to communicate, healthy ways to show up for each other, helping them acknowledge the past instead of just pretending like it didn't happen or pretending that it's been compartmentalized in this 4-week process in the show. Like, no, that was still real life. He really did those things. But if Shanté feels like Brion is his lifeline, a part of me would rather she have that lifeline than feel like she has nobody. And I hope that that makes sense. And the same goes for Brion. I hope if in fact he feels like he doesn't have anybody, that his connection with Shanté keeps him. I'm trying to say something without saying it, just because sometimes it's like a little bit triggering. But yeah, sometimes people feel like they genuinely don't have anyone. I have been in a space in my life where I felt that way too. When I was in university, I had a lot of unaliving ideation. So when you feel like you have nothing else, your mind goes into a dark, dark place. So that's what I'm trying to say. I hope that if they are each other's lifeline, that they do right by each other and they value each other so that they don't go into that dark place that they were at before coming onto the show. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, what an interesting season. I obviously want to see another one. I love Temptation Island. I think that the Temptation Haven was a good little remix. Love that. Bring back the reunion. Bring back the reunion. Thank you very much. And can we please cast some girls who actually want to get things cracking in their villa? I'm sorry. Like, at this point, the show is kind of like I don't want to say gimmick, because there was an engagement. I do think that these are real relationships, but if the girl is just going to be seeing her man do foolishness in his villa, I feel like she should do the same. Girl power, reclaim your time, sis. Anyways, we'll see what they drum up for season 2. Y'all let me know if you'd be down for a season 2. Y'all, clearly we need to rally together and petition Netflix to get a reunion going for season 2, because we're not going to do this again. I don't need to be scouring the internet looking for the where are they nows. No, tell me. Netflix, you tell me. Every other show got a reunion. Love is Blind got a reunion. Give us a reunion for this, please and thank you. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now that Temptation Island is over, what are we going to talk about next? Definitely Real Housewives of Atlanta. But yeah, drop in the comments what you would like to see on this channel going forward. And just drop down like questions that you have, whether it's about the shows that we've reviewed so far, shows that you want to see in the future, shows that have like expired, but maybe you want to get my thoughts on it. Like, let me know what questions you want me to answer. We'll see about answering those in the next episode or just sometime in the future. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're on audio, check out the visual versions. If you are here on YouTube, check us out on the audio platforms. I'll be back here next Tuesday to break it all down again. Bye-bye.